This video is going to be about how to create an input form for your data. So think about you're already registered in the database, so your details are already in the catcher table. And then you go out Pokemon catching, and so hence you need to enter, enter a Pokemon that you've caught. Now, this is effectively entering something in the log table, but as you can see from the log table, we don't enter catcher name and Pokemon name. We just need to enter the Pokemon ID and catcher ID. And quite often, in a database, you may not know the ID off the top of your head. So like if you knew it was, I think 133 is an Eevee. So if you knew you'd call it Eevee, you knew the ID was 133, you could enter that easily into the catcher log. But if you didn't know, you need to be able to have some way of looking up what that Pokemon was. So the first thing I have done is I have created a new query called query caught Pokemon. That query is mainly most of the things from the log. So we've got a catcher ID from the log, but we're looking up. We're also including the first name of the catcher and the surname. Same with the Pokemon. We have the Pokemon ID from the log, but we're also including the Pokemon name from the table Pokemon. It is important that this query references the catcher ID and the Pokemon ID from the log. Otherwise, you cannot enter it won't update the log record. So we've got this. The next thing we need to do is we need to create a form. So in the same way that we have before, let me just close that. Same way we did before, we highlight the query catcher ID. So query caught Pokemon, go to create, go form, and it will automatically create me a form. Once again, I want to, let me just take away that layout so I can manipulate it a bit more. Properties. Now, at the moment, we want to get rid of all this, not rid, but we want to move out of the way this Pokemon sighting data to start with, so we can update it. So at the moment, if I go to enter some data, I've got all my information here. I'm going to, let me just move that up so you can see what I'm doing down the bottom. If I go to enter a new record, I come up with an empty one. I need to have a catcher ID. If I don't know the catcher ID, it's still not going to work. But if I do know a catcher ID, which I know that's one of them, it automatically updates the first name and the surname. Same with the Pokemon ID. If I know a Pokemon ID, it automatically updates, and then I can continue entering my new record. However, what if I don't know that number? What we can do is we can put what's called a combo box in there, and the combo box will give us a list of all the names in the database. In order to do that, I'm going to get some space in here. Let me just move all this down. Okay, in order to do that, I'm going to my design tab at the top, and I'm going to select combo box. Now I'm going to drag that in here, and we get ourselves a nice little wizard. Now, to do this, what we want to do, first of all, we want the combo box to look up all the member names, and so member IDs and the member first name and surname from a table catcher. So we want the combo box to get the values from another table or query. Yes. We want to get it from table catcher. Keep going. Which fields contain the values you want to include in your combo box? Well, I want the catcher ID, I want the first name, I want the surname. So this is what, when I push my box down, this is what's going to appear in there, so I can select the person's name. Next one, let's just make it in the catcher ID alphabetical order. You don't want to hide the combination key, but you can make it smaller. So you need to have the catcher ID. Sorry, I said the wrong word. You need to have the catcher ID, but also obviously the first name and surname. Now, this is the important bit. What it is asking you, it is telling you it can store a value that you've just selected, and you can use it in your new table or your new query, which is what we want. We want to store the catcher ID. So that way, if we know our new catcher ID, it can store in our query. So select catcher ID, and we want to store this value in the catcher ID field. And as always, we give it a name that means something. So we're going to call it combo catcher. Finish. Okay. I'm going to delete the old one because we don't need that one anymore. Put this one up here. I'm going to bring the first name and surname up here just so we can have a look. Let me get rid of that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so let me go to enter a new record now. When I click down here, I can see everybody's name. So say, for example, I want to record that Boris has caught a Pokemon. I can select Boris, and this now enters a new record in my log. Okay, it's probably beneficial to do the same for the Pokemon ID. So this time for the Pokemon ID, I'm not going to do a combo box. I'm going to do what's called a list box. Let's find it. This box. If I can grab it. Okay. Again, I want the list box to get values from another table or query. This time, because we're looking at the Pokemon, let's look at the Pokemon table. Again, we want both of them. Let's sort it in the order of the Pokemon for this one, because quite often you know the Pokemon name. We need to see the key yet again, except I'm going to put the Pokemon name first and the ID second. And again, it is the Pokemon ID I need to save because that is the data that needs to go into my log table. We are going to store this value in the Pokemon ID, because again, in my log table, the Pokemon ID is the value that I need to store. Next, once again, a common name list, Pokemon caught, finish. Okay, let's see what this one looks like. Now I need to fix up all these labels and my formatting, but let's just see what it looks like to start with. Okay, so new record. Let's say Natasha, caught an Eevee. Let's find an Eevee. Oh, I didn't sort these in order. I can go back and sort these in alphabetical order. Okay, Natasha caught a Jigglypuff. And we can put some dates in here. Okay, I'm just putting some dummy dates in. Yes, okay. Let me, oops. If we now go and look into our log table, I'm just opening up my table log, and we go to the last record, you can see what's been entered. Oops, cancel that. We've got our Pokemon ID, 39, which I'm assuming is my Jigglypuff. We've got the date. We've got our catcher ID, which is Natasha, and all the details I just entered. And you can see that that has updated our record. The last thing I want to do is I want to give this a format. So I'm going to format this now. Generally when I'm formatting things, like because the name comes up automatically, I generally make that uneditable. To make something uneditable, sorry, that doesn't make sense. If you go to the property sheet, so to get the property sheet, right click properties, and if you go enabled no, it means that you cannot edit it. I also want to, because I don't like the colour, I want to make it look a bit nicer. Let's go transparent. look. So we've got a name there now, and there's no borderline around it. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting to make it look a little better. A little bit of a plane, some format, and here is my final form. So on this one here, if I want to add it, you can see I can find the relevant stuff. Was it caught? I think I'll leave it caught. And a lure can be used. Yeah, then we can add another one, or we can close the form. Oops, I need to close that. And there is our Pokemon caught form.